Security Alert. Anti-fraud solutions for 21st century businesses. Let's get the lowdown on the latest in the security and anti-fraud front from a leading industry expert. Joshua Bower-Saul, Cybertonica.
A leading industry expert. How many of you people are involved in fraud? I mean fraud prevention. Fraud prevention. So I think we all know that fraud prevention is a big theme in the business that we're here to talk about, which is gaming. And Cybertonica, obviously, we have an offer in there, but they told me not to talk about it. So I just put our logo everywhere, so you remember. What I want to talk about is actually very interesting because it sums up what we've just heard in the two panels preceding, both on the PSD2 side and on the KYC AML side, what's going to happen in the future. And it's going to be fun. So you guys will enjoy this, I think. First of all, let's just be honest with ourselves. This non-cash payments are out of control, right? So we're looking at 1 trillion payments, and you can see the growth that's expected into 2021. This is just what we can measure, right? This is not South America's growth, Africa's growth. This is what's happening in the world we know. So it's going to be twice this, right? It's going to go to 10, 20, 30% of world payments, non-cash. And we have a long way to go. And e-wallet transactions today, we all talk about it. We all talk about these transactions, but they're only about 41 billion out of 870 odd billion transactions expected next year. So what does it mean? It means the value in digital payments is going up and up and up. And it means that fraud is going up too, because fraud is done by the same people that do fraud prevention right now, right? The same technologies are used. You heard in the two panels people talking about falsifying paper documents, about the future of having a way to not have to do compliance 7 times if you have 7 financial entities that are attached to your business or to your person. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm a certain age, so I have a few credit cards. Many people have 3 or 4, but millennials have 0. So what is that going to mean for fraud? What it means essentially, and what you heard up here, is that data is king. You know, they used to say content is king, but data is king. And transactions are data. So in Cybertonica, on our team, what we talk about is a transaction is just a form of data exchange. Why is it called a transaction? Because there's action, and it moves, and it changes the state of the world. So what you've got to get out of your head is this word payments. That's over. Payments is over. In 10 years, it'll be gone as a term. Data is king. The next thing is that the incumbents that are still, you know, accepting us fintechs and people working as we do with, you know, ML and AI to build a new world of fraud prevention, compliance, they built a system of rules. Why is that? Who remembers how this all started? What was one of the first credit cards in the world? What was it called? Anybody? No? Nobody? Anybody going to dinner tonight? Diners Club, thank you. I gave a hint, so we had a smart person in the room, that's good. I assume all of you can read as well, so those limitations were made to exclude people from a club, right? First it was the banks, the Club of Rome it's called, right? Lends money to governments, right? Clubs are places where you bring your own people in. Lloyd's List, what was Lloyd's List? It was a list on the counter of a cafe owned by a guy named Lloyd, right? This is true in London. Lloyd's List, the insurance and the banking company, started from a list of captains' names in the port of London, Captain so-and-so going to Malta, Captain so-and-so going to Brazil, and he sold that information to people who were buying their cargoes. That's how Lloyd started. So data is king, but it comes from a world of rules and clubs, exclusion. It's heavy on implementation, it's low on flexibility. We're now in a generation 4 technology where rule sets have moved through statistical and big data, and we're already in real-time AI and neural networks. So neural networks are making a return. What does that mean? It means connecting the dots from all the data sources, synchronizing them in one place, and providing them to the users in a way that makes things frictionless, which is what our business is about. So the enrichment of data is what fraud prevention of the future is about. It's about understanding the person but preserving their privacy. There's a big cultural divide. In Asia, I was in Alipay's boardroom looking at their system. You have this screen, and you have the person making the payment, their passport, their Chinese bank account, their insurance level, and their credit level, right? That is illegal in our part of the world. Why? Because it invades privacy, but it's a different cultural take. So you can either have that system, which we know it leads to the social score and other issues, or you can have a system where people have their data, but they can use it as they want. This is what it looks like to, in the old days, you could only see the pictures. Now we can see how the muscles move. It's the same in data. Another example is this. How could we go through an airport, or we all hate this, right? But how could we go through an airport if we didn't have X-ray machines? And those machines where they make you stand up here and they take a picture of you and send it back to their mom. You know, those things are there because you couldn't process this density of volume without that. Now, we think we can get rid of these machines, but that's another story in Cybertonica's story. Neural networks basically are connecting the dots, just the way in your head, your intent, your wallet, your bank account connect to make you make a purchase, right? In fact, we can predict with our ML and AI, once we've had you on the system, we can predict 95% of what you will do in terms of payments. Now, I say have you on the system, it means anonymize you as a tag and follow you in a cohort of millions of people like you. It doesn't mean follow you as a person. That we avoid. We avoid the mistakes that artificial intelligence can make. On the left, those are footprints, ways that people walk, pressure. You can identify people with 98% accuracy just by the way they walk, if you have them walk across a thing here. But there are mistakes in artificial intelligence too. On the left, you have a husky, classified as a wolf by an artificial intelligence system used by the Canadian government, therefore shot from a helicopter. The reason that that was happening, they killed dozens of huskies thinking they were wolves around towns, right? The reason it happened was because the critical element in the artificial intelligence package that was built in the southern part of the hemisphere was if there is snow, it's a wolf, right? Makes sense, right? So you have to avoid those mistakes. Every transaction includes risk, but you can make money from that risk, and that's what the business is involved in doing, and that's what we help them do. So in the future, it'll be just another data flow, and risk data becomes another way of seeing customers. What we'll see is that authentication identity will merge, and you heard that in some of the panels here. And compliance becomes a byproduct of that behavioral and data joining together. So the bank account with the phone behavioral, for example, which we do. And all of these things that we had in the past are, as was said by our friend in Singapore, from Singapore, dinosaurs. These are the ticket to play that no longer is relevant. I'm running out of time here, but first of all, I will go a little bit over time, but I just think that the main thing we have to remember is that authentocracy is over. It's about the data and about sharing that data in a privacy-protected way. I'll skip this because it's not as interesting as the part I'm going to here. The point is that everybody who has data now wants to play in payments. So all incumbents are aiming for what they're calling platformification. Be very careful how you say that word, by the way. But the niche play, like in gaming and other places, is still very effective. So I'm just going to say a name, and this side, you say the name. So I say Google, you say Google. Go ahead, say Google. Google. Does Google have a payments operation? If they do, you guys say pay, right? Google, pay. Uber, pay. Baidu, WeChat, you guys aren't saying anything, man. Facebook, pay, right? So this is where it's going. In the meantime, all these people are buying everybody who knows how to manage data. So Visa, MasterCard, more than 10 billion in acquisitions in the last year of companies like us, companies doing anti-fraud, companies doing data, companies doing customer data. So in the future, fraud prevention is going to be part of the new protocol. Is it the bridge to the blockchain world? You just heard somebody who said, yes, it is. But I actually believe it's tokenization, which is the best alternative, which brings together all of these things into an extended digital identity. And that is going to be a token that you can pass from place to place. Fraud will still be a major issue. Why? because they're good at it. That's why we have to be ahead of them, right? They're using the same tools. They're invading our identities. There are 4 billion identities out there from the past and the present that have been used, hijacked, and made into synthetic identities. And there are big technology gaps among the markets that we're in. So this is a high level of technology that's engaged in fraud. It's an arms race. We're winning it for our customers, but other people are not, and you see that every day in the newspapers. And the card schemes are just going to keep buying data management. So I think my 100% correct prediction is that fraud will evolve, and we need the new tools that we are producing here with our colleagues and competitors to meet that challenge. And it's going to evolve and inspire the changes, because fraud is a motivator of innovation, because we want to make the system clear and clean so that everybody is playing on an even playing field and keep control of crime. So that's what I wanted to impart to you. And I think what's interesting is if you see in our logo, you see a little person in the middle. It's an anonymized person, but it's also a keyhole. It's the key, and the data is around that person, making that portable data, extended identity I talked about, useful for anti-fraud, but also for tokenization and getting from one bank account to another, or from an airplane to a cab without having to change your identity, right? Or your credit card if you're in a new country. So this is what we're talking about, and our motto is, our intelligence is not artificial. Thank you very much.